Hi, I'm Leif from Leif Labs, and now we're going to do a more practical construction built on the foundation of the previous constructions. I'm going to use plastic upcycled from a milk jug. Here's a milk jug. Going to use plastic upcycled from a milk jug to make a little dish that you can put small parts and the like in. So in order to do this, I have to collect some tools. So what are the tools here? There's the pen, which I'm going to use to point. I need scissors, a lighter, a candle, the pentagon that's used to create the dodecahedron in the previous video. You don't need the dodecahedron, but I have it here for a model. Tweezers, although pliers can also be helpful. You don't need a box cutter. You could use scissors, but a box cutter helps. A fork or some other pointy thing that can be used to score, and some kind of ruler. So the first step in all of this is that I'm going to take my milk jug, and I'm going to cut out a flat sheet that's the largest flat surface I can find. Here's my flat sheet of plastic. This is the plastic that's used for both most plastic milk jugs and also a lot of plastic juice containers. It's high density polyethylene, and it's great for the kind of crafts that I'm going to be showing here. So I washed it and then dried it. You want to do both of those. Now the next step is to put the bottom part of a dodecahedron onto here. In order to do that, I'm going to use this pentagon that's the same pentagon that was created in an earlier video to make the dodecahedron, because we're making a piece of a dodecahedron. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to trace it. Now I have the bottom part of a dodecahedron here, and I've used a Sharpie instead of a different kind of pen. You just need to have something that'll mark this. So now that I've done this, what I'm going to do is hand draw, or you could use a ruler, a little tab along here. I'm going to put this little tab along each one of these. And this is a very approximate thing. It's going to be a pretty rough kind of deal. And because I'm just going to cut this out with the scissors in a minute. So I do that. And now what I have is a pentagon, 5 bits and pieces of pentagons, the bottoms of pentagons, and these little tabs. Now what I'm going to do is cut this out. Now I've cut this out, and it's starting to look like a slice of a dodecahedron with just a little bit of extra plastic. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to go down here and cut these. Now I've cut these little triangles out of all of these, and then I've also taken the scissors and cut all the way down to the corner of the center pentagon. Now I'm going to score this using a ruler and a fork. And I'm going to score each one of the edges of these pentagons so that the tabs can fold up. Now that everything is scored, I'm going to fold it like this. Now you see that this is the bottom or top of a dodecahedron, like this. All right, so now I'm going to fold each one of these tabs out the opposite direction of the other folds. It can be helpful to use a pliers with this. This is where the pliers are optional, but quite helpful. Now you see they've all been folded the opposite direction of the main folds, and so you get these little mountain ridges here. And now what we're going to do is weld all of these. And that's where the candle comes in. So I light the candle. Possible that having the candle pointed directly at the camera of my iPad is not ideal, but we'll find out. Now I'm going to take this little bit of plastic that's connected to the other little bit of plastic and hold it right over the candle. And what I'm looking for is for it to become translucent. I'm trying to make sure these mate up with each other. If it lights on fire, that's not the end of the world. It's actually fine. But what you want to do is get it just close enough that it gets translucent and doesn't light on fire, ideally. And then it becomes gooey. And then you can make a joint with the tweezers as if you're, making a joint from bread dough or clay or something. Because it becomes clay-like. And I want to get the whole thing, if I can. There's the first of my 5 joints. Now I'm going to do the other 4. Having done all 5 joints, I now end up with this, which is the bottom or top piece of a dodecahedron. Now, of course, the way I cut it out was a little bit uneven. And if I want a nice looking dish, I want to make it even. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut it off so it's all flat. And there is a dish. You could put all sorts of things in this. You could put small parts for projects. When you're working on a project, it's nice to put small parts in something that has a little bit of a slope to it so that you can easily grab the parts out. And so with the tweezers, if I'm doing some tweezer project, I can imagine just throwing a bunch of electronic components in here or something and doing that. You could put change in it. You could put tiny stones or beads or anything like that. It's tempting to put food in it, but I don't recommend it. It's very difficult to clean out these little joints. What you'll also see is some of these aren't very flat. If you have the right kind of candle and some patience, you can flatten one of these surfaces out. This bottom actually, when I was done, it was not very flat, and I flattened it by getting it just barely almost melted, but not really, and then taking it and just pushing it against a flat surface and holding there and blowing on it until it was cool. So you can do that with these faces. You can also do this using a heat gun with temperature control. I usually put it about 130 degrees Celsius to do that. And there it is, a dish. So this shows how we go from kind of pure geometry just in terms of triangles and symmetries into things like this that you can trace out and make three-dimensional objects like this. And from there, we can go to real technology that can be built upon to build other technology. So I can also put some sort of fluid in here and then use this for a bunch of science experiments, which will be discussed in other videos. So thank you for listening. Like and subscribe.